Okay, so we're going to be carrying on with fractions today, and we're going to look at something called an improper fraction and also what a mixed number is. So you may have seen these before, you may have heard these terms earlier in the year or maybe primary school, but we're going to go over and get a bit of practice with these and then see if we can convert between the two. So the key things we need to be able to do is convert from one form to the other. So a mixed number is a number where you've got 1 and a quarter. So you've got a number and a fraction. So like this top one, this top one here. This is a mixed number because it's 1 and a quarter. So what this really means is 1 and a quarter, not 1 quarter, but 1 and a quarter. So now an improper fraction, we've seen some of these actually in an earlier lesson. We didn't address it as an improper fraction, but it is one where the numerator of the fraction, so in this case 9, is bigger than the denominator. So this one's 9/5. So because 9 is bigger than 5, this is an improper fraction. So we did see, I think it was last lesson, so if we had one like this, and we had, so these are split into halves, so if we had 1, 2, 3 halves, that'd be 3 over 2. So you can see with an improper fraction, it's going to be more than one whole one. Okay, so we've kind of discussed already. A fraction is, an improper fraction is a fraction in which the numerator is greater than the denominator, and you can remember this by it's big-headed. So this one, we've got each of the whole things is split into 4s, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got split into 4s, and it's 8 parts. So this one represents 8 quarters. Okay, so let's have a go at going from a diagram to an improper fraction. So we've got 1 whole and 2 whole. So we've got 2 whole things, we need to see what are they split into. So each of those is split into 1, 2, 3, 4. So that tells us the denominator of the fraction will be 4, because that's how many parts has each whole been split into, not all together, but each whole. So each whole has been split into 4, and then how many parts have we got? So we know we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got 5, 6, 7. So our top heavy fraction here would be 7 over 4, because we've got each one is split into 4 parts, and we've got 7 parts altogether. 7 over 4. So same idea again, if you want to pause the video and have a go at doing this on your own, that's a good idea. So I'd pause and have a go now. If you want to just watch me go through it, I'm about to now. So we've got 6 parts, 6 holes there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many parts has each of those been split into? So each of those has been split into 2 parts, 1, 2. So the denominator of our fraction, the bottom, is going to be 2, because each of those 2 parts has been split into 2. So the second thing to look at is how many parts do we have altogether? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've got 11 parts. So it's how many parts are shaded, not how many parts do we have altogether. So we've got 11 shaded parts, so it's 11 over 2 is our fraction. So we can see the top number is bigger than the bottom number, so it is an improper fraction. Okay, so we're going to look now at mixed numbers as well. So we've done improper fractions, let's have a look at mixed numbers. So a mixed number, we saw right at the start of the lesson, it's a number that has got a part that's a whole number and a part that's a fraction. So this one, so we've got each of these is split into quarters. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So this one here is 3 quarters. And this one here is 4 quarters. But the other way we can look at it is that it's 1 whole one. So we can say 1 add 3 quarters. So overall we'd write this as 1 and 3 quarters. So I know this looks like 1 3 quarters. So you might just think it was 3 quarters, but it's actually got a plus, so it's 1 and 3 quarters. We just don't normally write that when we're doing mixed numbers. So 1 3/4. Okay, so now let's write this as a mixed number. So the first thing to look at is how many whole ones do I have? So I've got 1 whole one, 2, 3 whole ones. So our mixed number is going to start 3, and then how many parts do I have? So I've got this one split into 2, so it's going to be 2 on the bottom of the fraction, and there's 1 of them shaded in. So it's 3 and 1/2, so it's 3 and 1/2, we'd write that. So we're going to move on, but the key thing to look at is how many whole ones have we got and how many fraction parts have we got. So this one, it's different shape, it's not triangles, it's rectangles now, but it's the same idea. So the first thing to answer is how many whole ones have we got? So we've got 1 whole one, 2 whole ones. So our mixed number is going to start 2, because it's 2, and then how many fraction parts are there? So the first thing to look at is how many pieces it's split into. So it's split into 3, so the denominator is going to be 3, because it's split into thirds. And we've got 1, 2 of them. So we've got 2 and 2/3. So we'd write that as 2 and 2/3. Okay, so now on task 1, so on the sheet, I want you to go through, and for question 1, I want you to circle the improper fractions. For question 2, I would like you to circle the mixed numbers. So I want you to pause the video now, go over got that on the sheet, and then come back to the video for the second part. Okay, so hopefully you've paused that, you've done task 1 and task 2, you've done a bit of practice recognising improper numbers and mixed fractions. So improper fractions and mixed numbers. So now what we're going to look at is converting an improper fraction to a mixed number. So we can see here, let's look, we've got an improper fraction here, we've got 4/3, 4/3. So you can see that represented with the diagram here. We've got each one of these holes, so we've got 1 whole and 2 whole, is split into 3 parts. That tells us that's where the denominator 3 is from. And we can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So that's where the numerator 4 is from. So if we're thinking about it as a mixed number, we want to see how many holes have we got and how many parts are left over. So let's have a look. So we've got 1 whole one, because we've got all 3 of those parts, so we've got 1. And then we've also got this extra bit. So we've got 1/3, because this one's split into 3. So we've got 1 and 1/3, which we can write as a mixed number as 1 and 1 and 1/3. We can write that as. So we can see just by using a diagram, it's really easy to spot how we convert between the two, because you can just think about it as 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, each of which is 1/3, or you can look at how many whole ones you've got and how many fractions you've got left over. Okay, let's have a go at this one. So now we can see each one of the parts is split into 2 parts. So each one of the holes is split into 2 parts. So that is where the 2 is from. And we can see that all together I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those parts. So that is where the 5 is from. So let's have a look at this as a mixed number. So as a mixed number, we're going to have how many holes we've got and then what fraction we have left over. So let's look at how many holes we have. So we have 1, 2 whole ones. So it's going to be 2. And then we've also got this extra one, and that is half of 1. So we've got an extra half. So it's 2 and add a half, which is 2 and a half. Okay, so the key points are look for how many holes we've got, and then we look for what fraction is left over. Okay, so this one doesn't have a diagram, so the question gives the hint, use a diagram to help you, so that's what we'll do. So we can see that we've got it split, each of the holes is going to be split into 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out a whole thing and split it into 3. And we're going to have 7 of them. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to need another whole one now. So that is going to be 4, 5, 6. And I need one extra one, also split into 3, because all of these are going to be split into thirds. So I've got 7, 8, 9. So we've got 3 things, so we've got them all split into thirds, so that's where this denominator is from here. And we needed 7 of them. So we needed 1 whole one, 2 whole ones, and 1 extra third. We don't need these 2, because we only need 7 thirds. We don't need 8 or 9. So we've got 2 and 1 extra third. So 2 and 1 third. So all we did, we split it up into however many the denominator told us to, and we just kept going until we had the right number. So we needed to get 7, so that meant we had to do 2, and then we did an extra one, but then we don't need most of that. So we have 2 and 1 third. Okay, so last one, this is a little bit tricky. So we've got 10 over 5. So let's try and convert this into a mixed number. And I'm going to put a diagram up at the top here. So we've got a diagram here. These shapes are split into 5. So you don't have to do these shapes. You could just do a rectangle. With this one, we've chosen to a pentagon. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that one, which is because the denominator is 5, so the holes are split into 5. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's split into 5, and we've got 10 parts. So how many holes have we got then altogether? How many of the whole shapes have we got? We've just got 2. So our final answer as a mixed number is just 2. So we don't really need to do anything else with this one. So it doesn't really look like a mixed number because there's no extra fraction, but it's just a whole number, so that's fine. So we get 2 as our answer here because there's no remainder. Okay, so section 2. Okay, so now I've been through all the examples, I'd like to go back to the sheet and carry on from the second set of questions. And I'd like you to do as much as you can in the 50 minutes. So we're converting mixed numbers and improper fractions. So have a go at them. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me, or you can, so email or send me a message through Firefly if you know how to do that. Okay, so good luck with this. Let me know if you have any questions.